The year is 2025. The global economy is in a state of flux, and at the center of it all is Donald J. Trump, a man who needs no introduction and seems to relish a good trade war. His weapon of choice? Tariffs. Lots of them. Trump's tariff plan in its purest form is about America first. It's about bringing back manufacturing jobs, protecting American industries, and getting tough on trade partners, especially China. The idea is simple. Make foreign goods more expensive, and American consumers will buy American-made products instead. But like a poorly choreographed tango, Trump's tariff plan is a whirlwind of missteps, unintended consequences, and a healthy dose of chaos. It's a high-stakes gamble with the global economy hanging in the balance. And as with any good reality show, the American public is both captivated and terrified to see how it all plays out. Trump's tariff plan is a complex web of different rates and exemptions. At the heart of it all is a 10% baseline tariff on all imports coming into the United States. Think of it as a cover charge for the privilege of selling goods to American consumers. But wait, there's more. On top of that baseline tariff, there are additional tariffs on specific goods and countries. China, in particular, has been hit hard with tariffs as high as 145% on some products. It's a full-blown trade war, and both sides are feeling the heat. To complicate matters further, Trump has also implemented a number of exemptions and temporary reprieves. Goods from countries that have signed trade deals with the US, like Mexico and Canada under the USMCA, are exempt from most tariffs, and certain tech products, like semiconductors and networking equipment, have been granted temporary exemptions to avoid disrupting global supply chains. It's a delicate balancing act, and one that Trump seems to relish tweaking at a moment's notice. The trade war with China is perhaps the most significant aspect of Trump's tariff plan. It's a clash of economic titans with billions of dollars and millions of jobs on the line. Trump accuses China of unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft, and currency manipulation. China, in turn, accuses the US of protectionism and bullying. The result? A tit-for-tat trade war that has seen tariffs on goods flowing between the two countries skyrocket. Chinese goods, from electronics to clothing, have become significantly more expensive for American consumers. And American companies that rely on Chinese manufacturing, like Apple and Nike, have seen their profits squeezed. The trade war has also had ripple effects throughout the global economy. Countries that supply raw materials or components to China and the US have been caught in the crossfire. And businesses around the world are grappling with the uncertainty of shifting supply chains and trade routes. Amidst the turmoil of the trade war with China, there is one bright spot: the USMCA, or United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. This trade deal, which replaced NAFTA, has been touted by Trump as a major victory for American workers and businesses. Under the USMCA, goods that meet certain rules of origin requirements can be traded between the three countries tariff-free. This has been a boon for industries like automotive manufacturing, where supply chains often cross borders multiple times during the production process. However, the USMCA is not without its critics. Some argue that the deal's labor and environmental provisions are too weak. Others contend that it doesn't go far enough in addressing the trade imbalances that have fueled tensions between the US and its neighbors. Section 5. Tech's timeout. Temporary relief. The tech industry, a global behemoth with supply chains that snake across continents, has been granted a temporary reprieve from the brunt of Trump's tariffs. Semiconductors, networking equipment, and other critical components have been exempted from the tariffs, at least for now. This exemption is partly due to the fact that many of these components are not readily available from American manufacturers. Slapping tariffs on them would simply drive up costs for American tech companies and make them less competitive globally. However, the temporary nature of this exemption has left many in the tech industry on edge. They know that the tariffs could be reimposed at any time, throwing their carefully calibrated supply chains into disarray. Section 6. Industry in the crosshairs. Collateral damage. While Trump's tariffs were initially aimed at China, their effects have been felt far and wide. American companies that rely on imported goods, from manufacturers to retailers, have seen their costs rise. Some have been forced to raise prices, passing the cost on to consumers. Others have absorbed the higher costs, squeezing their profit margins. Take, for example, Johnson & Johnson, the pharmaceutical giant. The company has warned that it expects to pay an additional $400 million in tariff-related costs this year alone. That's money that could have been invested in research and development or returned to shareholders. The tariffs have also had a chilling effect on foreign investment in the United States. Companies that might have once considered setting up shop in America are now looking elsewhere, deterred by the uncertainty and unpredictability of Trump's trade policies. Section 7. Public opinion, a nation divided. The American public is deeply divided on the issue of tariffs. Supporters of Trump's policies argue that they are necessary to protect American jobs and level the playing field with China. They point to anecdotal evidence of manufacturing jobs returning to the US and argue that the tariffs are a small price to pay for long-term economic security. Opponents of the tariffs, on the other hand, argue that they are nothing more than a tax on American consumers and businesses. They point to rising prices, job losses in industries hurt by the tariffs, and the fact that China has retaliated with tariffs of its own. The partisan divide on this issue is stark, with Republicans largely supporting Trump's tariffs and Democrats largely opposed. This partisan gridlock has made it difficult to have a reasoned debate about the costs and benefits of tariffs, and even more difficult to find common ground on trade policy. Section 8. The art of the deal or the art of chaos. Trump fancies himself a master negotiator, a modern-day deal-maker in the mold of a high-stakes poker player. His tariff plan, with its ever-shifting deadlines, threats and pronouncements, is a reflection of that self-image. But critics argue that Trump's approach to trade is more about chaos than strategy. They point to his tendency to make impulsive decisions, often via Twitter, and his willingness to reverse course at a moment's notice. This unpredictability, they argue, has made it difficult for businesses to plan for the future and has undermined America's credibility on the world stage. Whether Trump's tariff plan is a stroke of negotiating genius or a recipe for economic disaster remains to be seen. Section 9. The long game, a legacy of uncertainty. As we stand here in 2025, it's still too early to say what the long-term impact of Trump's tariff plan will be. Will it achieve its stated goals of bringing back manufacturing jobs and reducing the trade deficit? Or will it simply lead to higher prices for consumers, job losses in other sectors of the economy, and a more isolated America on the world stage? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: Trump's tariff tango has left an indelible mark on the global economy, one that will continue to shape the way we trade and do business for years to come.